The answers are B and C. The general contractor is responsible for providing material safety data sheet or other manufacturer sources of VOC data, and he or she is responsible for providing evidence of waste diverted from the landfill. For the exam, you will need to know who the primary responsible parties are for providing certain documentation for each credit. For more information on which party is responsible for the submitted documentation for each credit, go to the leadexamstudy.com website and click on 10 Things to Know Before You Take the Exam. Within that list will be a matrix of which project team is responsible for providing the documentation for each credit. Credit 6.1 is about stormwater design, with a focus on quantity control. The overall purpose of the credit is to limit disruption of natural water hydrology by reducing impervious cover, increasing on-site infiltration, and managing stormwater runoff. Ideally, natural water hydrology looks like the following image. When it rains, the water is either absorbed through land and soil, evaporates back into the atmosphere, or is received by a lake, stream, or other body of water. If the rain falls on the land and is absorbed through the soil, it goes through a natural filtering process by having to pass through multiple ground layers and rocks before eventually reaching the groundwater. Now, imagine what the rain must be like that is off-put from a very impervious area, such as this one, which is almost completely covered by cement, building masses, and other impervious surfaces. A very small amount of rain will infiltrate the surface and go through the natural filtering process, but the rest of the rain will run off into local sewers or streams and eventually join a larger body of water without going through the necessary filtration process to clean the water. This is the type of process that leads to the pollution of lakes, oceans, and other bodies of water that may surround the local area. Therefore, the purpose of this credit is to implement a plan to manage stormwater runoff so it does not end up polluting local sources of water. There are two possible scenarios to choose from in order to meet the requirements for this credit. The correct scenario for each project depends on how much existing impervious material is on the site. If the existing imperviousness is less than or equal to 50%, the project must implement a stormwater management plan that prevents post-development peak discharge rate and quantity for 1 and 2-year 24-hour storms. Or, the project must implement a stormwater management plan to protect receiving stream channels from excessive erosion. Use the LEAD NC reference guide for further details on post-development peak discharge rates and how to calculate the quantity for 1 and 2-year 24-hour storms. Although you should not need to know the formula to calculate stormwater discharge rates for the exam, it is important to understand the concept. If the existing imperviousness is greater than 50%, the project must implement a stormwater management plan that results in a 25% decrease in volume of stormwater runoff from the 2-year, 24-hour design storm. Here are a few examples of potential technologies and strategies to further describe how to meet SS Credit 6.1 requirements. This is an image of a type of concrete that is pervious as demonstrated with water flowing through the pavement. And here is an image of a vegetated swale. This is an example of a stormwater management plan designed to capture stormwater and process it through a filtration system before it flows further down to groundwater. Each piece of the plan is clearly referenced with an explanation on the role each piece serves in the overall strategy. Here is the last quiz question for this session. The site for a small commercial building is largely covered by an existing impervious parking lot. The project team plans on removing the existing parking lot surface material in order to replace it with a courtyard with vegetated swales between the sidewalk and courtyard. The remainder of the site area will be fully occupied by the new building. Which three of the following pieces of information would be pertinent to determining whether the project meets the requirements for SS Credit 6.1 Stormwater Design Quantity Control? Select 3. A. The pre-development discharge rates for the existing parking lot. B. The total area of all vegetated swales for the designed project site. C. Proof that courtyard is composed of pervious materials. D. Calculations demonstrating that the existing site imperviousness exceeds 50%. And E. Calculations demonstrating the impervious parking lot area will be reduced by 25% for the designed project site.